Halloween, one of the most harrowing and spine-chilling times of the year, full of macabre customs and traditions. Spirits, ghouls, all bizarre creatures, trick-or-treating alongside the Grim Reaper. But what's more terrifying than a lost soul, more hair-raising than a black cat knocking over a ladder, holding up 13 mirrors, and more devilish than your own tombstone next to an open grave? Shaky video cameras, whoa!
Yes, in the last 16 years, no holiday tradition has ever seemed to beat the found footage horror genre into the ground. The concept itself is one that can be intriguing. We're so used to seeing these stories be so oversaturated with poorly written characters and daft cliches, and in these kinds of films there's the potential of telling a story that is real enough that some people might actually fully convince themselves that the whole thing was a true story. And that fogginess can occasionally leave enough loose space for some clever tricks and twists. When it comes time to revisit these stories in sequel or spin-off media, a problem can lay in the direct path of the idea. Once people recognize the corporate brand of your movie as something grounded into the real world, it suddenly becomes a lot more difficult to put on the air of any of the story being set in actual reality. There are various solutions to this that you can take. One is to ignore these factors and instead try to tell a fully rounded, gripping story. Another is to take the Grave Encounters 2-track line, by attempting to fully advance towards these discrepancies head-on.
This thing creeped me out so bad, I'm not lying here, so bad I was creeped to serious.
It's fucking scary.
It's fucking horrible.
Some of you might presume that what I'm doing right here is showing you a collage of review clips so that you can understand how the first film was received. But I'm not, we're actually doing the review right now. This is how the second movie starts.
The effects are well done.
The camera work is terrible.
You see, when you do a found footage movie, one blatant option is to simply suggest that the found footage was actually released as a real movie. You may recall that Blair Witch 2, not that Blair Witch 2, the first Blair Witch 2 that no one likes, went down this route of saying that the first film was actually legitimately put out as a real movie. Both start off with a collage of reviews, where Blair Witch 2 tries to pretend that these are all review clips of a real documentary and not a fictional movie, giving off the impression that all these people are kind of jerks for making fun of a bunch of kids going missing. Grave Encounters 2 makes it very clear that the release was of a piece of fiction, a legitimate horror film, not a documentary, but not as all as it seems. The final reviewer we see is of our main character, Alex, who looks like emo Spider-Man and dresses like he's in the world's most boring Old Navy commercial. After we sit through a section of his fully enlightening review, which totally puts my entire channel to shame,
I think I'm gonna give this film, Grave Encounters, a pass. 1 skull out of 4.
we cut straight to a party being held on his college campus. You'll notice that this film, unlike many others, does take the concept of making itself feel like an actual found footage project consisting of vertical cell phone footage and boring YouTube vlogs very seriously. The only negative to illustrating all of the characters as accurate cliches of college life is that it's very hard to bring yourself to relate to or like any of them. The next person we meet is Alex's best friend, who looks like a young Willem Dafoe and dresses like Thor. Thrawn. Thrawn walks in on Alex shooting his web and reveals the Halloween costume which he has prepared for the night.
I'm not fucking wearing this.
You are
I'm not fucking wearing this.
And cut to him wearing it. Yep. Gonna need a lot of cider for this one.
The next morning, Alex wakes up to discover that the embarrassing photos of him at the party have been posted all over Facebook. You might at this point be wondering why all of this is in the movie. Well, it's essentially the filmmakers trying to show off how real the setting, direction, and characters are by starting off on a situation that most of us supposedly can relate to in some way. It may sound like something that a bunch of out-of-touch 60-year-olds chain-smoking in a locked office building would come up with, but the writers of this film were actually 25 at the time. Moreover, dialogue like
fucking YouTube sensation.
And
it's got fucking 26 likes.
Really makes it feel a lot more close to a satire than an accurate representation of college dorm life. Speaking of parody, the next thing we're shown is a clip from a film that the main characters of the story are producing in school. And it's easily the best part of the entire film, in that, of all the hilariously bad moments in this thing, this is the only one that's bad on purpose.
Look, I know it's been exactly a year ago tonight that your father disappeared, but you need to move on already.
The thing is so gloriously overstuffed with bad special effects and purposefully terrible acting that it's always a joy to sit through. It is kind of weird how seriously the cast members seem to be taking it, getting worried about if it's cliched or if people are gonna take it seriously.
But it's cliche, man. Look, there's a guy in a mask and a girl getting tied up. I need to rethink the whole third act. Just wrap everybody, okay? I need to rewrite.
Like, this is a film school, right? Surely if they're not making something pretentious or featuring two people talking in one location for a long period of time, it's just gonna be a total gag to them. And around here is where we finally get back to emo Spider-Man's unnatural obsession. Grave Encounters the movie. He watches it every day, apparently only does YouTube videos specifically about it, and most importantly, he has slowly started to come up with a theory that the entire movie was real.
None of the actors in this film have done anything since this film release. Not a thing. Can you explain that? There's something about it that doesn't make sense, and I just kind of want to get to the bottom of it. All that shit. It's all real. It all happened.
Yes, it would appear that Spidey here is under the distinct impression that the first Grave Encounters film isn't a measly drama made on a shoestrings budget lightly disguised as something 8 years old, but instead was a real documentary filmed in 2003 and released after being found under a false label. Wait a minute. Isn't the plot of the first film that the characters were shooting like a Ghost Hunters kind of show and then they went missing right before filming the 5th episode?
You know, going really smoothly. I mean, the edits that were coming back look great. They got to episode 6.
Yeah, and the movie's like the lost 6th episode, right? Well then, if you're trying to prove that the movie is real, then surely those 5 other episodes would have aired on History Channel or something. Wouldn't that be positive evidence that you live in the universe where the movie isn't fiction? Wouldn't someone obsessed with watching the first movie over and over and over again realize that this is an obvious part mentioned in the plot? I mean, surely if this was a real cover-up in this universe, then there would be better clues to the fact that it was totally real than some of the actors quitting after this and one committing suicide. Was the film actually filmed in 2003? Surely that itself would be weird enough to back up your thesis. Spending a long time shooting one narrative is a whole other thing, but finishing it and then sitting on it for almost a decade is another package altogether. Are there really no production notes on Wikipedia about this film, or any behind-the-scenes clips that you could show off as mysterious? Look at this. The guy even has one of those billboard signs with pictures and string pinned to his wall. Like, dude, there's only 2 kinds of people who have those things. Super mega geniuses and crazy conspiracy theorists. And up to this point, I'm doubting that you're the first thing. Spidey Sense throughout the film's intro is being messaged by a YouTuber named Death Awaits 6, who gives him information on how to contact the actors and producers of the film for further info. Oh jeez, some of you may not know this. You see, YouTube used to have a messaging system which would allow users to chat privately with each other. Now, I hear rumors that YouTube actually still has this feature, but no one's ever been able to figure out where it is, so it's all just a giant mystery. Death Awaits 6 sends Alex a YouTube message giving him the contact info of one of the supposed surviving cast members of the first film. Knowing that this could be his chance to finally break 150 views on his YouTube channel, Spidey and Osborn set out to contact his home and set up an interview. But when they arrive, they quickly piece together that the actor hasn't been home in years, and in fact has been missing since the first movie was filmed. That night, Alex's girlfriend, Jennifer Parker, grows extremely frustrated that he decided to bail on their film to do more research about grave encounters. Oh, that wasn't like a movie joke. Her name is Ashley Jennifer Parker. I'm not making that up. Wow. Taking his obsessive compulsion from a light 5 to a dastardly 6, Spidey decides to hunt down the director of the first film and seek out the truth from him. He finds out that he's at the moment filming a commercial for gum or something. Some weird avant-garde stuff. So he sneaks onto the lot using the least convincing pseudonym of all time.
Roberto Smith, I got,
and is able to confront the director, an action which goes down just about as well as you would expect it to in the real world.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
Hold on a second.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Spidey is kicked out and starts a slanted vlog on his harrowing experience, no doubt considering revamping his channel to be based around food reviews, when he is visited by the director, who agrees to a meeting as long as it isn't filmed. But being the clever little slimy film student that he is, Spidey clamps nipple cams to his shirt where he documents the full confessions of the director.
So you admit it? Footage is real? Yeah, every last frame of it. Except for a few cheap visual effects that we added at the last minute. To be clear, unless there's actually a body, you're not legally dead. You're a missing person. I had an idea. Why not release it as a film? And it worked great. They already want a sequel. Grave Encounters too. Can you believe that? You know, you get all these students and all these kids up here from UCLA and USC, and they're just so goddamn incompetent.
Yes, it turns out that the whole thing is not in Spidey's head after all. He now has absolute proof that the entire first film, being fake, was faked and thus was real and not fake. As he leaves the office to find out more about what's really happened, he promises the director that he intends to get to the bottom of this.
So now you know the truth. I'm not gonna get away with this. We already have.
I'm gonna tell everybody.
You go ahead. Who's gonna listen to you? You're a nobody.
You think you're gonna stop me, kid? You're a nobody. A legit nobody. Who are you? Nobody knows who you are. I don't know who you are. I invited you to my office and told you my deepest, darkest secrets, and I don't know why. Now let me tell you something. I work in a job where I can get away with just about anything. I direct commercials for 5-rack gum, and let me tell you something. Those sons of bitches, they look out for their people, all right? You get a job there, you're set for life. You can do whatever you want, and they'll take care of it. They'll just make it all go away. I worked with an assistant director last time. He had killed 7 prostitutes in 1 week, and they just swept all that right under the rug. It's a little bit terrifying how much power that one organization, 5-rack gum, has, because you would think that they wouldn't have that power, and they do, and it makes you think, what in the world do I not know about? You know? But it's a very real job, isn't it? It's a very, very real job, and it makes a lot of money, and I would have offered you an internship, because you're so inquisitive, and you seem to be so good at slanting cameras in a certain way. 5-rack gum loves that shit. But now you've gone and pissed me off, so take your bald haircut and your lens-shaped nipples and get the hell out of my building.
Now able to convince his friends that something odd is happening, he pitches a new idea, to completely scrap the obvious expensive movie that they've been producing, to instead make a found horror film sequel.
This is the film I want to make. Think about it, we're already in the second act, right? I mean, you've been filming everything on your camera phone. Jared, you've been filming it. Think about it, dude. It's a documentary, but it's also a horror film.
Alright guys, you can go ahead and just take that meta, just grab the controls, just knock it down a bit, rock back into, a lower gear.
Somehow fully convinced by this rant, the group forms a quintet consisting of Emo Spider-Man, Jennifer Parker, young Willem Dafoe, De La Ghetto the cameraman, and the goth girl who's annoying and shouldn't be in the movie.
Now, some of you out there will probably say that if you were going to do something like this, you would probably call ahead and try and get, in contact with the people who own the house and get permission so you can legally film there. But that's because you're fucking pussies. The only man way to film a movie is to bring your bolt cutters and to just knock the door down and go in without telling anybody.
Breaking in, bitch! Motherfuckers can't stop us!
Yeah, set up those cameras, film your movie. I'm sure that when the homeowners see that you just decided to wander into their property and shoot an entire documentary, they'll just be so excited by your little sweet Parks and Recreation camera zooms and the Ghost Hunter pantomimes, they'll just overlook the fact that you broke into their old creepy mansion without permission. Yeah, just film yourselves breaking in as well. Don't even hide the fact that you were fully aware that the area was private property, or that you brought industrial tools to do the deed. No, if you were to cover up those factors, it would just ruin the immersion, wouldn't it? The crew sets up around a dozen cameras all around the building while they set out to record certain scenes for their special in-key rooms. Rooms that have remained apparently undisturbed since the events of Grave Encounters 1, almost as if the first movie was filmed 1 year ago and not 10.
It was March 20th, 2003, when Sean Rogerson and the crew of Grave Encounters were shooting their 6th episode of a reality television series here, in this very building.
Why are you guys talking in this scene like it's the introduction to your documentary? Didn't you guys already agree to use all your cell phone footage as the real intro? Taking some downtime after finding some gross stuff in the halls, the team discover a Ouija board. Jennifer and Spidey decide to try and contact any lost spirits in the room as a joke, and are shocked when the board actually starts being used to communicate with them. And it follows through, spelling out its own name. Death awaits.
Holy shit. Death awaits, it's not a person.
Fucking YouTube guys?
Yeah, that's right. You didn't misinterpret that twist. That actually happened. The YouTube account that they have been chatting to since the start of the movie, it was the ghosts the whole time. The ghosts that haunt this place. They got access to the internet, made a YouTube account, found a review and watched it in its entirety of someone who liked Grave Encounters 1, gave it 1 skull out of 4, and decided to start messaging him to help him come to the conclusion that the entire first movie was a hoax in that it was all real. And they messaged him, hunted down private information about the cast, directors, and producers to give it to him, to lead him on this path to conclude that the first movie was real, so that he would come to the house and make a second movie. That was a fairly long, elaborate plan that might not have worked if the ghost had messed up one thing. Perhaps didn't understand the internet lingo, couldn't figure out how to work the app.
After they realize that the ghosts in the house are real, everyone gets real spooked and they decide to head out and leave. But just before they can escape, they are finally caught by security, who has appeared once before in a scene not worth discussing, apparently doesn't sleep and just works 20-hour shifts, hears a noise, wanders off, and is not seen for another 10 or 20 minutes. He dies. Moving on. But of course, the cop isn't the first person who actually dies. As it's pointed out in the dialogue, the black guy is usually the first one to go, but since there are no African Americans in this film, the Asian guy gets killed. Wow. One thing that you may not have been able to piece together is that the film doesn't hold back on showing full, uncut patches of footage. While you would think that this would be an upgrade to the jumps where they cut away just when all the cool stuff is starting to happen, it kinda makes it seem a lot more camp and unbelievable. The remaining survivors try to set out and find the exit to the house, but discover that the entire thing is shifting and twirling around so that there is no real way to get out. I've always had a soft spot for this kind of trope. It's cute to try and pull off, and it has a nice Hotel California kind of feel. They wander into a certain room, clearly one meant for children, where they find something truly terrifying.
Oh shit, you guys look!
Oh, come on, that's not scary.
I'm Caitlin. What's your name?
Oh, come on, that's not...
They are chased by a monster, one who is totally real, because this is all absolutely 100% an actual thing that happened and was discovered, to the edge of the house, where it implodes at the perimeter and they realize that they're finally free. The group heads out on the road and gets back to their apartment, where they pack up their gear and decide to head back home so they can finally chronicle what's happened to them. And so that was Grave Encounters 2, and psych! They're still in the building! The elevator doors brought them back! Yes! Thank you! Wait, you gonna see if the elevator would take you back? That's sort of what elevators do, man. No, just gonna give up, huh? Alright. While they roam the halls trying to figure out where the plot of the movie went, they are visited by a surprise guest, the main character from the first film, who has been trapped in the building for almost a year because I think time moves more quickly in the house, I don't know. But don't worry, throughout that time he's been able to stay quite healthy, fit and muscular by eating rats. Mole Man takes them to his secret hideout, where they try to convince him to help them out. Hans tells them that there's only one real way to get out of the house, through the big red door, which is chained up. As you may recall from Exhibit A in the breaking and entering court case, the team did have a pair of chain cutters when they came in, but they at some point lost it in the halls. After he helps them find it, they all decide to head off and take a power nap before they try to get back to the red door.
As we watch this, I just want to remind all of you that this movie is trying very hard to frame itself as a found footage presentation. Remember, this isn't a fictional movie anymore. This all happened. We are discovering this footage for ourselves, and we're supposed to come to the conclusion that it was all real, secretly, just as the main character of this film figures out that the first film was real. So watch this scene and just keep in mind, this all happened. This was all real. This is all unedited, authentic footage. Oh, Ghosts got the camera, guys. Oh no. The ghost got the camera, he's filming you in your sleep. Wake up! See, the ghost got the camera. Alright. Photoshop ripple effect. That was great, boys. That was... no second take needed, my friends.
Defoe sets out to record his last statement, which he chooses to do in the bathroom, likely because he's a giant piece of shit. There he's beaten to death by Mole Man, who thinks that his sacrifice will allow the red door to activate as a checkpoint so he can finally escape. After moping over their deceased pet douche for a surprising 4 minutes, they take out the map given to them by Mole Man so they can try and get back to the door. Meanwhile, Mole Man has a full-on mental breakdown as the ghosts film it. And I gotta say it, these ghosts have a hell of a better directing sense than the rest of these supposed film students. I mean, look at these shots. That's the great thing about being a non-corporeal entity not suppressed by gravity. You don't even have to worry about buying a stabilizer for your camera. Mole Man gets back to his red door, where he pries it open, only to discover that it doesn't work. The ghost then communicates, through scribblings on the wall, that he not only has to kill the 2 remaining cast members, but he also has to finish the movie.
On shows like Ghost Adventures, they always have like a curator, right? Of the house. So you go in and then he's like, oh yeah, we check this place all the time and make sure, no one's selling drugs outside it. We go into this house all the time. So these ghosts just must have like a weird interest in crappy B-movies, that, or they want you to make these movies so they can trick more people into coming to the house, but only if they have video cameras on them as well, so they can trick them into making more movies. Because if you don't bring a camera, apparently this place doesn't give a fuck what you do. This place only kills people who bring video cameras.
Parker and Emo Spider-Man get lost and end up in a room that apparently was once used for a heinous operation. You'd think that this would just be a cool Easter egg that would get mentioned on the Grave Encounters wiki for being important, but instead it's a really long, weird, semi-flashback sequence where a bunch of ghoul docs come in and we see them give some dude a lobotomy before sacrificing a baby. I think this is supposed to be why the house is haunted, but excuse me if I don't really seem to care that much about the epic and ever-growing Grave Encounters lore. They run down the hall into a room that somehow leads them back to the Red Door, where they discover Mole Man, who... wow, oh, Jesus, oh, fuck, that's some of the best bad stuff right there. Oh, it's not even like the Cycles version of Blender. That's like the straight up thing that like boots up when you open it. Oh, Jesus, it's so bad. Wow. Hey, look, his eye got better. Oh, now it's back. Oh, no, it's gone again. Moleman tries to kill Alex so he can make it out of the house, but Parker bangs him on the head, getting him out of the way long enough for them to flee just a tiny bit.
You fucking bitch!
Oh, honey, you don't just say words like that to women and not expect a giant death portal to open up and consume you and suck you away to the gates of hell. These ghosts, you know, they're very pro-smart. Just wanted to confirm this again. This is real life. This actually happened. No bullshit, no lies, no cinematography. We're looking at an actual spiritual event right here, not an episode of Doctor Who. No, this was real life. This is a documentary. This is a Netflix original.
Once again, I would like to congratulate the ghosts for the absolutely high quality of the footage that we're seeing here. This is top-notch directing. I think if they can find a body to possess or maybe like a window shop dummy to move around, I think they could have a real comfy spot in the industry after this. So Mole Man gets sucked into the Doctor Who vortex and Alex and Jennifer are left alone. But it's not all good, as Spidey has finally figured out that only he can truly escape, and to get out, he has to kill Jennifer. And there's only one real way to go.
I've surrounded myself with killing machines.
And with everything in the building but him dead, the door finally opens and lets him enter into the real world once and for all, in a shot that totally doesn't look dated or terrible in the slightest. And with that, we end with a final recap of the film, as the two directors discuss how it was made, and one makes it absolutely clear that none of it was truly real.
Grave Encounters 2 is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
Grave Encounters 2 attempts to fight back against many of the faults and cliches of modern horror movies, but in doing so it only really proves why these factors have always been at play. Whenever a supernatural concept happens, we always see too much of it. We see ghosts picking up cameras and dragging people into the hall for 5 minutes at a time, and people shattering through windows, and vortexes opening up straight into hell. These are all things that are always scary when they're described in scenes with eerie music, but when you actually try and show them, they look so dumb. And with every scene, it just gets harder and harder to see this as a horror film and not an old Disney cartoon. The special effects are nothing, and they certainly don't impress me, and a lot of the scenes really do play a bit too much like a film analysis instead of an actual piece of found
Wait a minute, what was that? That's... Why, those are... longitude and latitude coordinates, that's... But it's impossible. Lumpkin! Scan the coordinates and run them! What the hell is this? This is a real building, but that's impossible because if they filmed the movie at Real Hospital, the movie is real. The movie was real the entire time. It all makes sense. An entire year's worth of research finally reveals the truth. And we see it's all connected. From the fake car crash to prom promise to everything being a dream to the dog in the Halloween suit, don't hug me, I'm scared, Laura Palmer, it all makes sense. Even down to the oil fires being possible to be put out with water. The collapse of society. Bad movies, bad theories, bad regulations. It all comes together for one solution. Craven Carnage 2 was real. It was all real the entire time, and he took us this much to figure out that it was all real. I have to do more research. I have to find the truth once and for all.